Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Rama, Hare Rama.
Hare Krishna devotees, please accept my humble obeisance to All Gosha Shri Prabhupada. Welcome devotees from Morning Bhagavatam class. This morning we continue with Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 16, verse 5, and the chapter is entitled How Maharaj Pariksit Received the Age of Kali. We are in the beginning of the chapters, and we have His Grace Pariksit Prabhu from ISKCON Harrisburg who will be giving the class. Without further delay, we will start the class. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari, Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari, Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Girivadadhari, Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Girivadadhari, Yashodanandana Rajajanaranjana, Yashodanandana Rajajanaranjana, Yamuna Tira Vanachari, Yamuna Tira Vanachari, Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari, Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Nithai Gaurachandra, Nithai Gaurachandra, Gaurahari, Jaya Jagannath, Jaya Baladeva, Jaya Subhadra, Jaya Gauranitai, Jaya Gauranitai, Jaya Gauranitai, Jaya Gauranitai, Jaya Jagadguru, Srila Prabhupada, Jaya Jagadguru, Srila Prabhupada, Gurudev, 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 Jaya Jaya, Gurudev, Nitai Gaura Haribo, 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 Nitai Gaura Haribo, Nitai Gaura Haribo, 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 Nitai Gaura Haribo. Jayam Vishnupad Paramahasa Privajikacharya. Astotara Satasishimada Divine Grace Isi Bhaktivedanta Swami Shiva Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jayam Vishnupad Paramahasa Privajikacharya. Astotara Satasishimada Divine Grace Shila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai. Ananta Guti Vaishnavindi Ki Jai. Nama Charja Shri Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Iskam Pahana Charja Shri Prabhupada Ki Jai. प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवाचार्य गौर भक्तवृंद की जय श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरि गोवर्धन की जय वृंदावन धाम की जय मथुरा धाम की जय नवद्वीप धाम की जय जगन्नाथपुरी धाम की जय जगन्नाथ स्वामी की जय गंगा मई की जय जमुना मई की जय तुलसी देवी की जय भक्ति देवी की जय Hare Krishna Mahamanta Ki Jai, Samaveta Bhaktavinda Ki Jai, Nitai Gaura Premanande, Hari Hari Bo. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the Lord's feet of Sri Guru and Gauranga, and Sri Prabhupada. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasaya Bhutale. Srimati Bhakti Tere Swami Nami. Namaste Krishna Padaya Prabhupada Siddhartha. Sri Gaura Karuna Shakti Bhakti. Narayana Namaskritya Naronchevam Narotamam. Devim Saraswati Vyasam Tatujayam Udirayat. Nascha Praiswa Bhadresu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya. Bhavadutamasloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Hare Krishna. Good morning, dear devotees. This morning's Bhagavatam class is from Canto 1, Chapter 16, Text 5. So after reading 3 times, if you want to read, you can do so. Shaunaka Uvacha Tasya Heto Nijagraha Kalim Digvijaye Nripa Nideva Chinhadrik Shudra Kosagam Yapadahanat At Katya Tamahabagam Yadi Krishna Katashrayam Shaunaka Uvacha Kasya Heto Nijagraha Kalim Digvijaye Nripa Nideva Chinhadrik Shudra Kosagam Yapadahanat Tat Katya Tamahabhaga Yadi Krishna Katashrayam Janaka Vacha Kasya Heto Nijagraha Kalim Digvijaye Nripa Nideva Chinhadrik Shudra Kosagam Yapadahanat Tat Katya Tamahabhaga Yadi Krishna Katashrayam. Hare Krishna.
Donaka Uvacha Kasya Heto Nijagraha Kalim Dik Vijayendripa Redeva Chinadriksudra Gosaugayam Padahanat Tatkayata Mahabhagha Yadi Krishna Katashrayam. Hare Krishna.
Anyone else? Okay. Word for word. Shaunaka Uvacha. Shaunaka Rishi said, Kasya, for what? Heto, reason. Nijagraha, sufficiently punished. Kalim, the master of the age of Kali. Digvijaye, during the time of his world tour. Nepa, the king. Redeva, royal person. Chinhadri, decorated like. Judrakaha, lowest of the Shudras. Asal he, Gam Tao, Ya one who, Pada Ahanat, struck on the leg, Tat, all that. Katyatam, please describe. Mahabhaga, O greatly fortunate one. Yadi, if however, Krishna, about Krishna. Katha Ashrayam, related with his topics. Translation by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada. Shaunaka Rishi inquired, why did Maharaj Pariksit simply punish him since he was the lowest of Shudras, having dressed as a king and having struck a cow on one leg? Please describe all these incidents if they relate to the topics of Lord Krishna. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Shaunaka and the rishis were astonished to hear that the pious Maharaj Pariksit simply punished the culprit and did not kill him. This suggests that a pious king like Maharaj Pariksit should have at once killed an offender who wanted to cheat the public by dressing like a king, and at the same time daring to insult the purest of the animals, a cow. The rishis in those days, however, could not even imagine that in the advanced days of the age of Kali, the lowest of the Shudras will be elected as administrators and will open organized slaughterhouses for killing cows. Anyway, although hearing about a Shudraka who was a cheat and an insulter of a cow was not very interesting to the great rishis, they nevertheless wanted to hear about it to see if the event had any connection with Lord Krishna. They were simply interested in the topics of Lord Krishna, for anything that is dovetailed with the narration of Krishna is worth hearing. There are many topics in the Bhagavatam about sociology, politics, economics, cultural affairs, etc. But all of them are in relation with Krishna, and therefore all of them are worth hearing. Krishna is the purifying ingredient in all matters, regardless of what they are. In the mundane world, everything is impure due to its being a product of the three mundane qualities. The purifying agent, however, is Krishna. Om Gnati Mirandasya, Gyana Ganashanakaya, Chakshu Omalitam Jena Tasmai Sri Guruve Namaha. Shishitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swaparantikam. Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Yutapada Kamalam Sri Guru Vaishnavam Scha. Sirupa Sagajatam Sahagana Ragunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam. Sadvitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam. Sri Radha Krishna Pada Sahagana Lalita Sri Vishakam Pitam Scha. Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namustite. Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishabhanusute Devi Panamami Hari Priya. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasari Gaura Bhaktavrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prashnaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Tinamini. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pacharini Nirvishesha Sunyavari Paschatya. Namo Mahabhadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayati Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namni Gurati Namaha. Nanda Lilamaya Vigrahaya Himagya Divacha Vishndaraya Tasmi Mahaprem Raspadaya Chaitanya Chandaya Namo Namaste Chaitanya Chandaya Namo Namaste Chaitanya Chandaya Namo Namaste Chaitanya Chandaya Namo Namaste. Hare Krishna. The translation again. Shaunaka Rishi inquired, why did Maharaj Pariksit simply punish him since he was the lowest of Shudras, having dressed as a king and having struck a cow on the leg? Please describe all these incidents if they relate to the topics of Lord Krishna. Hare Krishna. So Shanaka, who is the head of the sages, Adnami Sharanya. So Maharaj Pariksit has heard from Shukadev Goswami, and Sutta Goswami was also there, heard Srimad Bhagavatam, and now he's relating Srimad Bhagavatam as he heard it to the sages who were led by Shaunaka Rishi. So Shaunaka Rishi at this point is inquiring, wanting to know more about the activities of Maharaj Pariksit when he met the personification of Kali. A man dressed up like a king, even though he was not a king. So that's deceitful. Second, striking a cow. The animal kingdom also are ruled by mode of goodness, mode of passion, and mode of ignorance. Mode of goodness is the best of the three, and the cow is in the mode of goodness. The cow is also one of the 7 mothers. You have a real mother, then a wife of a king, a wife of a spiritual master, wife of Brahman. Then you have the cow, the nurse, and the earth. 7 mothers. Cow is one of the mothers. So this person striking a cow was a serious offense. And serious offenses in Maharaj Parikshit's kingdom carried the punishment of death. So the rishis, and by the way, there were 80,000 of them in Naimisharanya. They were surprised to hear that, they just said that if Maharaj Pariksit has met such a culprit who is deceitful and also, harming the cow, the personification of religion. In this case, more of it will be explained later. Then, why they just assumed that, Sutta Goswami will tell him the next thing that Maharaj Pariksit simply got rid of this person. But that's not what they heard. He got punished, but not killed. So, Srila Prabhupada is saying that the pious king like Maharaj Pariksit should have at once killed an offender who wanted to cheat the public by dressing like a king and at the same time daring to insult the purest of animals, the cows. So there are 4 defects in the human being in Kali Yuga. And one of them is cheating. So this personality was cheating the public by posing like a king when he was not a king. An imposter, as we use the word now for that. That's one of the 4 defects. Cheating mentality, deceiving. The others are to be an illusion, thinking that this physical body is it, the material world is what's going to save us. We can live ever happily, peacefully here. First, we cannot be happy all of the time because this place is a combination of happiness and distress. Even at the material level, it's still happiness and distress. Live forever, nobody lives forever. People do leave a physical body, they die. So, and of course, things also deteriorate over time. And so, this is not the place where you can get total happiness. Flickering happiness you may get. The only real happiness that comes is internal, and that comes from Krishna, the Lord in the heart, the Paramatma. In Kali Yuga, the other defects are making mistakes and having imperfect senses. So if we make mistakes, then we're not in position to present things in full truth. Only people who don't make mistakes can present things that is 100% correct. And those are the pure devotees of the Lord and the Lord himself. When they speak perfectly. When the pure devotees of the Lord describe the Lord in many ways, they also speak perfectly. The only way that devotees may not be having any faults is when they repeat what the spiritual master, the bona fide spiritual master, has said, like it is, like it is. Not wash it down, not contaminate it, or not put any kind of impurity in it. You present an unalloyed statement. And you also perform unalloyed devotional service, not expecting any kind of payback, and not stopping. As much as the body can do, we should do. And place Krishna consciousness as priority all of the time. And the other defect is human has imperfect senses. Some of the animals have senses that are even more keen than ours. So we don't have perfect senses. So we are in a situation that with the defects, this personification of Kali, he was cheating, and he was also being very insensitive. The legs of Dharma are austerity, cleanliness, mercy, and truthfulness. Austerity, cleanliness, and mercy are very much compromised in this age. And cleanliness, truthfulness is also being challenged. As a matter of fact, beginning from the personality himself, he was cheating. He was putting himself or deceiving everybody by posing like a king when he was not a king. Yet Maharaj Pariksit did not kill him. So this was surprising to the rishis. Now, Srila Prabhupada says that in those days, the rishis could never have imagined, they couldn't even imagine that what the personification of Kali was doing would even be worsened in the days of Kali Yuga. The personification, the lowest of Sudras would be elected as administrators. Kshatriyas are supposed to be administrators and trained ones at that. Now we have Shudras. And they deceive people, promise things that they don't deliver. And it's one situation after another. And everybody's being deceived. And in the meantime, people are eating the flesh of cows and bulls. And slaughterhouses are organized as businesses for killing cows. One cow was being killed by a person who was deceitful. But now, millions of cows are killed every year. And it has been said that this planet then, those who are doing that, they are bringing down the karma of this planet. And there will be payback for those who do that. In fact, it has already started in many ways. The weather that we have from the demigods are not good. We suffer from the weather. The weather can be, we already know that with these bodies that we have, there's weather that can be very, very, very nice. When it comes, we all agree. Moderate humidity, moderate temperatures. How come it's not going on every day? The demigods are not capable of giving us that kind of weather every day? No, the demigods are using the weather to warn us that we have strayed from the path of proper religion, the Sanatana Dharma. And that's why people are suffering. So when, like in such a yuga, people are more conscious of being a religious person and knowing God and loving God and having the whole life based on service to the Lord, the weather is very nice. The demigods definitely, they control the weather. The demigods are servants of the Lord. And so when things go south, that's the way we put it in America, when things become worse, then the demigods use the weather as warning to us. And of course, there's individual situations too. Some weather becomes so severe, some people get affected. That is karmic in one way or the other. But the general situation is a warning to us. But are people listening? Not really. So we have our work in this community, in this organization, this society, International Society for Krishna Consciousness. We have our work cut out for us to try in so many ways to bring the Nam Sankirtan, the holy name of the Lord, that changes the minds of people. Because Krishna consciousness is already dormant. As Srila Prabhupada says, it's dormant in our hearts. It's there. It has to be awakened. And so when sometimes some of our devotees go on Sankirtan around the world, and sometimes they will record it and you put it on YouTube and you will see that people just join and they gladly chant. And then there are some people who are still very covered up and look at us and say, what are these people doing? And they just go about their ways. That's unfortunate. But it is the holy name of the Lord that's going to change things in this world. So the rishis in those days couldn't imagine that life would be this bad. At the time of Maharaj Pariksit, his administration, if you disobeyed any of the four regulated principles, the punishment was death. Srila Prabhupada described it. The punishment was death. So harming a very sacred mode of goodness animal like a cow, the punishment should have been death. But of course, things were going to progress in Kali Yuga. And so everything happens by the will of the Lord. And by the will of the Lord, that personification of Kali was not killed. As later on, you would see how Maharaj Pariksit interacted with this particular personality. And life went on to the point that we are at now in Kali Yuga. Now, the other important point was the rishis, they want to hear about Krishna. So even if an event like this has happened, their own conviction or their own, what they were looking forward to hearing was, all right, so this situation has happened between Maharaj Pariksit and the personification of Kali. We're a little surprised that that personality was not killed. What's going to happen next between Maharaj Pariksit, the personification of Kali, and the cow? Is it related to Krishna? It's a very, very important lesson for us. What we do day after day, we have to ask ourselves, is what our actions are they related to Krishna? Are they satisfying Krishna? How much of our time is spent connecting with Krishna? Every moment that comes, that goes, do we use it in connection with Krishna one way or another? It is very important that we take assessment of our own lives. And I'm speaking about this for my own purification too. So that by hearing the topics of Krishna and by channeling our activities towards Krishna consciousness, then we will do what Rupa Goswami said to do, and that is always think of Krishna and never forget Krishna. Everything that we do, we see, do I have a way to bring Krishna into this? Even material activities. And for spiritual activities, am I setting my day up such that I will have time, quality time, to connect with Krishna consciousness? Would I have quality time to connect with the devotee? Sometimes you want to hear about Krishna, you can connect with the devotee by, technological, the advancements in modern age. You can text, you can send WhatsApp, you can hear YouTube, but somehow connect with Krishna consciousness. Sometimes, if there's some things that disturb a person, you talk to somebody that you can, in fact, reveal your mind to. And this person should be fixed up in Krishna consciousness. So that in their response, and if you talk to a person like that, it's very, very highly likely that the response that you're going to get will not only help you materially, but will help you spiritually also. Because those who are thinking about Krishna all of the time, when they answer questions, they somehow bring Krishna into the picture. Sanatana Goswami was doing that when he was asked by Lord Chaitanya to go to Vrindavan. The Vrindavan residents were asking him questions. Some of them had some idea who he was. He was a very, very wise and a government official, and he definitely was 10% related, connected to Krishna and submitted to Krishna, surrendered to the Lord. They would ask him questions that were material questions about their own lives and things that were happening in their homes. Sanatana Goswami would patiently listen, and Sanatana Goswami would answer those questions, bringing Krishna into it, always in such a way that when they finished hearing him, they will have heard the responses to what they were seeking, but also something about Krishna. So then they would take the advice, but they would also connect to Krishna. So every day he was doing like that. And the planting of the seed of Krishna consciousness and awakening in hearts were happening by Sanatana Goswami, apart from the fact that he kept writing and writing and writing so many books. And his Prabhu Goswami was also writing from what Lord Chaitanya had taught them for 10 days in Prayag. So we need to, yes, go on with our spiritual life and material life, but the material life should be such that we get more connected to Krishna and find ways in which we can connect our material life to Krishna. Hearing topics of Krishna is wonderful. As Srila Prabhupada also says, there are topics in the Bhagavatam about sociology, politics, economics, and cultural affairs, but they're all in relation with Krishna. Of course, sociology will be in there, politics, economics, they're kings. You hear about Varnashram down. Excuse me. They're all in Bhagavatam, the different kings and what they did. We're talking about one now, Maharaj Pariksit, Maharaj Prithu, Maharaj Rishabhadev, Maharaj Prithu in the 4th canto, Maharaj Rishabhadev in the 5th canto. They're all there. They're kings, and some of them Shakti-based avatars, some of them are direct expansions of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Not to mention in Canto 3, so much advice given by, he wasn't a king, but Kapila Dev, also an incarnation of the Lord, talking with his mother, Devahuti. So much is there, Vasankhya philosophy. So yes, Bhagavatam has all of it. And then Krishna's pastimes later, after the first 9 cantos. And then what's going to happen when you go to 11th and 12th cantos, what's going to happen later on in Kali Yuga. So the Srimad Bhagavatam tells us so much, but they all connected with Krishna. So they are worth hearing. So the pure devotees of the Lord, as is said in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 10, in Opulence of the Absolute, text 9, Machita Magata Prana Bodhayanta Parasparam Katayantas Chaman Nityam Tushanticha Romanticha. Krishna himself is saying that the thoughts of his pure devotees dwell in him, and that their lives are fully devoted to service to him. The pure devotees think about Krishna all of the time. And so their thoughts connect with Krishna. Krishna is absolute. So it's easy to connect with them in action and also in thought and in words. So the thoughts of my pure devotees dwell in me, Krishna is saying, their lives are fully devoted to my service, and they derive great satisfaction and bliss from always enlightening one another and conversing about me. So here's the clue. If we want to be satisfied, we want to be blissful, then we should awaken Krishna consciousness in our heart by discussing, conversing about Krishna. And when we get some information that we didn't know, no matter how little it is, from a Shastra, we share that. We share that. Lord Brahma was, as some people arguably put it, and they may well be right, that through Yogamaya, he looked at those who were these little cowherd boys with Krishna. And they were eating, and they were taking food, biting, and they say, "Oh, Krishna, this is very nice. It's very tasty. Take it." And Krishna takes the part that's bitten and then put it in his mouth and eat it. Lord Brahma is watching all of this. This is the Supreme Personality of God, and who is this person? So then he hatches a plot and takes the cowherd boys and the cows away and hides them in the cave. But Krishna used that situation when he was by himself. Those in Vrindavan, they want to spend time with me the way Mother Shishoda gets to spend with me as a mother. So I'm going to use this opportunity to give them the opportunity presented by Brahma to give them the chance to relate to me. So then he expanded himself just like all the cows and the cowherd boys and went home and came back next morning to tend to the cows, but the cows were himself and the cowherd boys were himself. In the meantime, in going home, the cows were so thrilled with their young ones, the cows, and giving them so much love. The cowherd boys that were Krishna, were being loved so much in each dwelling by the mothers and the fathers. So there was wonderful love exchange going on between the parents and their sons, but they did not know that they were all Krishna. After a year, which is just moments for Lord Brahma, when he realizes that things are going on normally, and the other cows that, the cows and the cowherd boys that he had hidden were still sleeping in the cave, he became very bewildered. Then Krishna threw a few, as we say in America, more curveballs at him. Everybody changed into the four-handed Vishnu so that Lord Brahma would be surprised. And then back to Krishna himself. And then Lord Brahma realized that, yeah, this is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Now, he came down and he offered obeisances at the feet of Krishna. And he said so many prayers, praising Krishna, putting his own little position in comparison to Krishna, making it clear that he was no one compared to Krishna. And he had become a little bit too big in his shoes, as we say in America. And he began to realize that he really should be serving these devotees, cowherd boys in Vrindavan. That the Vrindavan dwellers, those that were there, were more advanced in Krishna consciousness than he was, because the way he was relating to Krishna like that. And he doesn't get to relate that way. So he said he should be serving them. In his prayers, he said that. And as he was praying, he was crying because he was so regretful about what he had done. So with so much remorse, Krishna forgave him. But still, Lord Brahma, and he even mentioned Lord Shiva, that we should both become servants of these cowherd boys in Vrindavan. So, characteristics of devotees they have to disengage themselves fully in the transcendental loving service of the Lord, and we should not divert our minds from the lotus feet of Krishna. It's only the 9th offense of the 10 offenses in chanting the holy name talks about being careful not to bring topics about Krishna to those who don't care about the holy name of the Lord. That you have to be careful about. But whenever there's devotee association, the topics of Krishna should be topmost, not topics of kami life. When somebody is talking about, not that you can stop somebody else, but sometimes they will bring kami discussions, material discussions, among devotees. But one devotee should be alert to bring Krishna always into the conversation, because only devotees can remind us about Krishna. Non-devotees are not going to do that. Non-devotees are too busy in the modes of passion and ignorance, either destroying the world or destroying themselves, or trying to work so hard for sense gratification. So the symptoms of the pure devotees are, they are 24 hours daily engaged in glorifying the qualities and pastimes of the Supreme Lord. So then their hearts and souls are always constantly submerged in Krishna. And that's what makes them happy. They take pleasure in discussing Krishna. And so everything that's talked about, you take the example from Srimad Bhagavatam, there's so many material things that could be there, but they are not quite material because they are connected with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And that is spiritualized that way. So even when things that are supposed to be looking at it on the face value, looking material is there, still the activities are connected with Krishna. And so Krishna then purifies the material things. So Krishna is the purifying agent. As in Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2, Chapter 5, Text 30, Srila Prabhupada is discussing that human civilization, our lives are meant for purifying our senses. And yes, the object of material things, sense satisfaction, that should be supplied. We know that we have to take care of the body, but not to the point of going overboard where now it's just for sense gratification. Yes, food we need, but we have to take prashadam. Shelter we need, but the home should be turned into Krishna mandirs in our own little way. The home for the Lord. Defense should be there, yes, and the other things to make sure that the senses are in the right frame of mind to serve us, the right place to serve us, they all should be provided. It's material existence, that's there. If we didn't need these, if we were just spirit souls in the spiritual world, we wouldn't need all of these things. So these needs are not, they're artificial because they're not connected with the soul. But we are here in the material world, therefore it has to be there. Therefore, we have to kind of, take it as part of our lives temporarily until we get out. In the pure state, we don't have those kind of needs. So a devotee has to be aware that it is the spiritual that's most important. So everything that we do, even economic development, when we're doing it, Ministry of Prabhupada has a way of economic development, which I'll get to in a minute. Very, very interesting. He was talking about in the morning walk. So even in economic development, we should always have Krishna at the back of our minds. Chanting the holy name, hearing, and whenever we have time, quality time should be spent for Krishna. Quality times early in the morning, you do the Krishna thing first. You go to your deities, you offer obeisances to your spiritual master or the Srila Prabhupada if you are not initiated, and you chant the holy name of the Lord before anything else is started. The mantras of spiritual master, those are all very important. They should be done in the morning before the day goes on. And one of the good prayers in the morning is, Dear Gurudev, dear Lord Gauranga, please use me as a vessel, as a channel for all the work that happens today, both material and spiritual. Direct me, use my mind and my intelligence in everything that happens. So basically, you give your day to Krishna to control it. and you become the real servant. The master will be telling you how to run things. And it is interesting when you do that, how many things can, in fact, work out in ways that you could never have conceived of. And Krishna, we allow Krishna to take over our intelligence, and we do even the regular material work. It is amazing how things actually pan out day to day to day. Krishna is responsible for our whole life, even while we're in this material world, both material and spiritual. So we have to be 100% devoted to the Lord. And the final thing we want to talk about is one of the qualities, the 26 qualities of the devotee. One of them is the devotees are kinchana, devotees without material possessions. Now, what does that mean? Yeah, we do have some material possessions, but is it ours? First, we have to understand that we don't own anything. Everything came from material nature, and material nature is owned by Krishna. So whatever transformations that of material nature that is given certain products, the starting materials as well as the intelligence to do it all came from Krishna. So everything is Krishna. Krishna's the owner, the proprietor. So a devotee is without material possessions, akinchana. So what it means is that we should understand that we should not be attached to anything. But then at the same time, whatever comes, we should accept it in relation to Krishna. That is how to use material things to serve Krishna. That should be priority for devotees. As long as we're using what we have in serving Krishna, then we are like a servant serving a master with those material possessions. So the material things belong to Krishna, and we're using them to serve Krishna. And that is in that the proper mentality. One is thinking that way, then that person is rightly situated above what is called material possessiveness. But when we think this is for me, this is to satisfy my senses, this is to do this for me, and this is for that, all of that, then we are in material mentality, and that will not help our Krishna consciousness. But everything that we buy, everything that we use, everything that's in our home, everything that we come across, we should think how to use that to serve Krishna's devotees, to serve Guru, and to serve Krishna. When we do that, then we will not be attached to anything. And that is the proper understanding of akinchana, devotees without material possessions. So Maharaj Pariksit, he wasn't attached to anything, nor were the grand relatives of him, the Pandavas. They've given the control of the world, the emperor. Now he's Emperor Pariksit, and he is in fact doing the right thing in caring for the devotees, and also dealing with this personification of Kali, who later on, when things unfold, you'll see how he handled Kali. And that's to come later on. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Sorry, I had to sneeze first before I turned the unmute button off. Thank you so much for this wonderful class. And I'm actually happy that you clarified a point, because when I was reading the purports several times, I don't know if it's the English or if it's the editing, but I was trying to understand the first three lines where Srila Prabhupada's purport says that this suggests that a pious king like Maharaj Pariksit should have at once killed an offender who wanted to cheat the public by dressing like a king, at the same time daring to insult the purest of the animals of the cow. And because the translation, the way it is phrased, it sound, at least to my limited understanding, it sounded like Maharaj Pariksit struck the cow on the leg. I said, wait, I have to read this again a few times. It wasn't very clear, so I'm glad that you.
No, Maharaj Pariksit did not hit the cow in any way.
Right, did not.
It was a
exactly.
personification of Kali.
Yes.
That was actually beating the cow.
Yes, it's just, I think the way the sentence was phrased, I had to really read it several times to understand the way it flowed. I said, it doesn't make sense, but I'm so glad you
Yeah, he
clarify
says, so
that.
the sentence was saying, the first is asking the question, why did Maharaj Pariksit simply punish him since he was the lowest of Sudras, having dressed as a king and having struck the cow on the leg? Okay, so the way in which confusion can come into this is Maharaj Pariksit was a king,
Yes.
okay? So dressed as a king and having struck the cow on the leg, so king, yes, they would dress as a king, but this one was impersonating the king. It still was,
Got it.
it
Yes.
still was the personification of Kali.
Yes. Yes.
It
I
was
just
still
needed
the
that
cheater that
clarification.
had dressed as a king, yeah.
Yes.
So
It's just
basically, when Maharaj Pariksit got to that situation, he drew his sword to punish him. But as far as visually, there was a cow, there was a king, and there was another king, a fake king and a real king, both at the same time. Yeah.
yeah,
So,
thank you. I really
yeah,
had to really read that again, but thank you for clarifying. I was in the dilemma for a good 5-10 minutes. And
yeah.
so thank you for it. Like
But
I said,
Maharaj
it's
Rishi was
just,
not deceived at all.
yeah,
He
no,
realized
no,
that this is a
no,
person that is
absolutely. It,
trying to, yeah. A
yeah, it
good king
was.
will never hit a cow anyway. So,
No, no, absolutely. It's just the way I think that the sentence flowed that I kind of like
yeah.
threw me off. Yeah.
Okay, I'm glad you know that that's cleared up.
It
Very
is,
good.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So thank you for this wonderful class. And especially what I really and would like to ask devotees if you have any questions, any comments or reflections, or you can either raise your hand or you can put in the chat and I'll be very happy to read it. There was one point in the purport that I really liked where Shri Prabhupada says, this part, anyway, although hearing about a Sudraka who was a cheat and an insulter of a cow was not very interesting to the great rishis, they nevertheless wanted to hear about, to see if the event had any connection with Lord Krishna. And I was really appreciating that point because these rishis are always looking of events connecting to the Lord,
Yeah.
So it reminded me of that Samadarshina, point. That we hear in Bhagavad Gita, that equal vision, and I was really appreciating how, wow, even though they were hearing this about Maharaj Pariksit and this fake king and the cow situation, but they wanted to know, but how is this connected to Lord Krishna? They were only interested in topics of the Lord. So I was really realizing, whoa, there's, and then it made me realize how their hearts are so simple, their
And
hearts
sublime.
yes, they're so sublime. Their hearts and mind are so simple, and they just wanted to know, how is this all linked to the Lord? They don't want to get into all the other stuff. So I was really appreciating the importance of having a simple heart and a simple mind, because I think from, at least to what's coming to my mind, a simple heart and a simple mind, it's so easy, I guess, or easier to connect everything with the Lord.
Yes, and that's why Srila Prabhupada says, simple life, simple living, high thinking. High thinking is thinking about the Lord all of the time. And the rishis, they were a little patient with Sutta Goswami describing what was going on, because Bhagavatam's commentary on Vedanta Sutra about the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Now, the Muni had told Krishna, we were pioneer Vyasadeva to talk about Krishna. First, when he wrote the Vedas, he didn't have much of that in it. Karmic stuff, that was what's in there first. And so, because the sages knew that this was a topic about Krishna between Maharaj Pariksit and Shukadeva Goswami, Srimad Bhagavatam itself, they said, all right, so now what we're hearing sounds material, only at the material level. But let's see that if Sutta Goswami will bring it the way, or did Shukadeva Goswami bring this whole discussion into connection with Krishna. So the lesson we learn from it is, in our own discussions, we should try to bring, if we have material discussions. This is a fake person, a fake king, and he's beating a cow. So then it doesn't sound, from that point, if you just isolate that, it doesn't sound there's anything spiritual about it. But then the sages is saying, somehow it's going to connect to Krishna, so let's just be patient and hear. And Shankarishi came right out and asked the question. All right, so this, first where we're surprised, we're thinking that the punishment should be killing of the Shuddha. It says, describe the incidents though, if they relate to the topics of Lord Krishna. So they always want to hear about Krishna. So we should always also want to hear about Krishna. Hare Krishna. Jai. So thank you for bringing that point up.
Yeah, thank you. That was a nice point too. Always trying to relate to the Lord. Thank you. It's very, very nice point. Anything else from devotees? Any thoughts that's coming to your mind? Any reflections? Any takeaways that you would like to share? Any realizations that you would like to share? And if there isn't, we thank you all for joining us. Vancha Kapribhyascha, Kripasindobevacha, Patitanam Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Srila Prabhupada ki.
Jai.
Have a wonderful day, and we look forward to seeing all of you online tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Jai.